Quarterback announcements in and around the world of college football. There have been a bunch of big ones that have dropped, but perhaps none bigger than the one that dropped yesterday, courtesy of Marcus Freeman. CJ Carr has officially now won the job over Kenny Minchey. Came as a bit of a surprise, if I'm being honest.
Really?
If you followed any of the public reporting over the last couple weeks, things very much seem to be trending in the direction of Minchey.
Interesting.
Now, if you had talked to me, if you had talked to anybody who covers the team more closely than you and I, there was an assumption out there that this was always going to be CJ Carr. From the moment CJ Carr stepped on campus, from the moment he signed on that dotted line,
multiple dotted lines, right? That there's a payment structure in place for CJ Carr, right?
From the moment that he signed however many lines, there was an assumption that this eventually was going to be his job, but it was much more of a race in fall camp than I think many expected.
Okay.
CJ Carr got the gig officially yesterday.
Redshirt freshman?
Redshirt freshman.
And as much as Notre Dame does or doesn't do redshirts, yeah.
Correct. So caught a lot of people off guard. Marcus Freeman did say as recently as this past Sunday that it was still neck and neck, but ultimately it was his decision to make. I'm sure he's going to be asked about this a million times over now, to what end we'll get his actual thought process. Clearly that remains to be seen. Who knows on that front? I can only speculate here because, again, I'm not at practice. I'm here in my basement in our studio. So forgive me for speaking out as a fan, but I would say truly if this were a neck-and-neck race, even if Kenny Minchey did at some point or another pull ahead, the fact that they still went with CJ Carr tells us two really big things.
Tell me.
About Notre Dame this year. The first, I think, and this may be obvious, it screams to me that the coaching staff thinks CJ Carr is the higher ceiling. Why else would you give it to somebody who maybe doesn't have the edge? It's because you think he's got more to give in the long run.
Right.
He's a year younger than Kenny Minchey.
He can develop into something, and this time will allow him to do so. Yeah.
A year younger than Kenny Minchey, so it's a bit of a longer-term play. Plus, you know as well as I, in the portal era, Dan, you got to have that mentality that you're going to lose one of these guys to the portal. It seems clear they want to hold on to CJ Carr. That's what I'm getting out of this.
Right.
And then secondly, and I think more encouraging for those of us who cheer on the Irish, Marcus Freeman must have enough confidence in the rest of the team, in the rest of the offense, that he let this drag on for as long as it did.
Right.
This was truly like his first quarterback race of this magnitude. And I think he was content to let it drag on, to let these two duke it out for as long as they did, because frankly, there's less of a risk when you've got a beast of an offensive line and what might be one of the best two ground games in the entire country with Jeremiyah Love and Jadarian Price. So we'll have to wait and see what it looks like against Miami in week one, that Sunday of week one. I think ultimately both guys probably end up being very good college quarterbacks, whether it's at Notre Dame or somewhere else. But the decision has been made. It did surprise a lot of people. Maybe we're right back to where the conversation started at the end of last year. Who knows? But it's going to be CJ Carr when the Irish take the field in Miami.
Yeah, I mean, look, in any of these quarterback races and selections and naming of starters situations that we're talking about, if there is a true legit competition, if it is neck and neck, generally speaking, if you're just playing the odds, if you're just doing a little bit of math, and I'm not the best person to be talking about doing math, generally speaking, you either have two pretty good quarterbacks and you're trying to figure out who has the best chance of being excellent, or you have two like pretty average or below average quarterbacks and you're figuring out who is the less below average quarterback, right? Who has the higher floor. From what we've seen of these two quarterbacks, it seems that they're probably both pretty good. And just to echo what you're saying, and not two excellent quarterbacks who are of Heisman caliber. And like, what a crazy decision we have to make. What a luxurious, crazy situation we find ourselves in. That they're both pretty good. And it seemed that CJ Carr, because of the year he's in his second season as opposed to Kenny Minchey in his third, or because of the best of his throws or the best of his plays, seems to have a higher ceiling. So that would be where my money is for any of these quarterback battles, especially at the high-profile places. If they're legit back and forth, right? Sometimes they're quote-unquote quarterback battles, but it's one guy all along. But if this one is indeed legit, then that would be where my money is. That both of these guys are at least pretty good, but CJ Carr has that ceiling. So,
and honestly, I'm not discouraged by the fact that there was a true quarterback competition.
No, that's fine.
Especially given the fact that, as you said, both seem to be pretty good. Both will end up being good college quarterbacks, again, whether it's at Notre Dame or somewhere else. The real surprise to me was that it was a real bona fide race.
Yeah.
Because I was under the assumption that it was always just going to be CJ Carr. They were going to hand it over to him. But by all accounts, Kenny Minchey pushed him pretty good. Who knows how this goes through the first month of the season? It could still be Kenny Minchey's to gain, depending how CJ Carr shows out here in the first few weeks of the season. But our long national nightmare is over